Before we even enter the crypto world, we have to understand what is going on in the stock market, because the stock market right now this year, or let's say in the last half a year, is basically showing us what is going to happen with Bitcoin. Also, in this video, I'm going to show you one chart which will tell you whether you should focus on stocks or whether you should focus on crypto. And this chart is screaming one very clear answer, but we're going to talk about it a little bit later. First of all, I want to show you the stock chart that I drew for you on the 13th of November. If you watch my previous videos from November, you are going to see that chart pointing up. And this is exactly what is going on with the stock market. I expected this behavior from the stock market because I expected stock market to smash the all-time highs multiple times in the upcoming months and also do a final blow off top. We are going to blow off top phase and we're going to enter into a bear market. This is clear. This is already confirmed. Cycles are pulling this move. Cycles pulled the exact same move in 2022. If I look back now into 2022 and I look at the cycle indicators, what happened then? We had a very, very similar move where we were simply pushing higher. Stock market was gaining 50% in a couple of months, was going down because of the weekly cycle, and then pushing up. The 2-weekly cycle indicator was simply making this pattern. You can see it was making new lows before we actually made a top and then collapsed to the downside. Now, what is this kind of behavior? If you watched my previous videos or you're a subscriber of Strategy Master, you basically used to the cycle indicators at the bottom of the screen. But most probably you don't know why in some cases these cycle indicators break multiple times, although the price pushes higher. This only happens at the very top or the very bottoms. Now, in this particular situation, the stock market was pushing higher and was pushing higher at the crazy speed. And the 2-weekly cycle indicator was simply making lower highs, showing the bearish divergence that is incoming in the next few months. It had the proper cycle top in May 2021, and then it spent half a year making new lows on the 2-weekly cycle top. So what you wanted to do and what you want to do right now is basically sell the weekly cycle tops. Right here, you see the weekly cycle. You basically want to sell and you want to re-enter at the bottom of the 1-week cycle. Now, if you rinse and repeat this action and you don't pay attention to the 2-weekly cycle indicator, you basically make money also in the bear market, which is exactly what you want. Look, this is where the weekly cycle bottomed, and then it went up into a bear rally, topped on the 3-day, topped on the 1 week, right here, the price top, and then resumed to the downside. If you followed 1-week cycle indicators in these situations, you actually made money. Now, stocks are pulling exactly the same move right now. Look, we are ripping higher. When the weekly cycle indicator tops, we go into a very small, very quick and sharp retracement, and then we recover and push higher. Right now, actually, we are approaching a top on the 1-week cycle, and the price actually wants to go down. It wants to go down because it has to go down due to daily cycle. We have to fall into 40-day daily cycle, and most probably then we're going to continue upwards. What is going to happen with the cycle indicators? Simply, they are going to either slowly start going down. The 2-weekly cycle most probably going to break somewhere here because it cannot sustain such move, bringing this to the same situation that we had in 2022, and then we will be able to draw such line. Market going to push for another month or two, and somewhere in March it's going to make a top. Now, previously when I drew this chart, I was sure that the stock market will also top together with the crypto market in the beginning of February. Now, looking at this trend and looking at the cycle indicators, I can actually see the first stop here, and then most probably it will be the last weekly cycle, the last retail driven top. See, there are many players who are actually coming at the top. They're buying the top because they expect the market to rip higher, and in the end they will be left with nothing. Well, not with nothing, but with the worthless stocks that will go down by 20, 30 or even potentially 40%. Now, 40% correction would be big, but we can definitely talk about 20 or 30% correction this year alone. Now, I just switched to the stock market daily time frame chart where we see the 40-day cycles. Stock market moves in 40-day cycles, and every 40 days it makes a new bottom and then resumes upwards. Now, what's going to happen next? We're going to fall into this 40-day cycle bottom, and then we're going to resume upwards, potentially making a left translated cycle this time. See, a right translated cycle works in the following way. We make a 40-day cycle bottom. Let's take this one as an example. Then we rip higher for like 35 days. Right here, we ripped higher for 35 days. We made a top after 35 days, and we only spent less than a week actually falling down before we resume up. In case of a left translated cycle, we can only go higher for a number of days, usually not more than 20 days, potentially 25 days. Like, look in this example, we made a bottom, we went up by 24 days, and then we went down for another 16 days, okay? Now, in case we get a left translated cycle, we still can go for 20 up to 25 days up, which means that we can actually reach to the March schedule. We're going to go above 7,000 points. We're going to go into March where we're going to make a cycle top. This will be the ultimate top of the cycle, not a local top, but this will be a global top. And then we're going to fall into the first 40-day cycle. We're going to push up, make a dead cat bounce, and then we're going to continue down. This is a great opportunity to jump on stocks one last time this week in a few days. If you want to know which stocks to buy and how to apply the cycle indicators on stocks, you want to go to Strategy Master website. Right here, you click the button, gift a subscription, or you go up on the right corner and you click the subscribe button. I don't see it right now, but you're gonna see it if you open strategymaster.io. You get a subscription for 42 euros, $49 a month. First of all, you unlock all the cycle analysis for crypto, gold, and stocks. And second, you also unlock the cycle indicators. Basically, these cycle indicators allow you to find the tops and bottoms of different coins, stocks, or metals, basically any financial asset. If you want to catch the bottom of Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, any other stock, get a Strategy Master subscription as fast as possible. Gold, what is going on with gold? Now people are lost because gold is ripping higher, right? That was not my presumption. My presumption was that we are going to go down because gold already reached an important point right here in October. And then my presumption was that we are going to go to a left translated cycle. We're not going to smash all-time highs. And somewhere in December, we're going to start going down. This didn't happen. And we made one more high. We're getting into one more high. And look, we are currently on the week 21. If I now look back, gold doesn't really have tops on the week 21. That's not typical for gold. This only happens in the blow of top phases. Okay, this means that gold is going to crash down very soon. Okay, you have to be ready. Don't get into gold right now. That's really not the right time. Sure, we might push higher, maybe for a week, but look, this 1 week cycle indicator is simply overbought. And you know what happens when the weekly cycle indicator gets overbought? It then reverses and goes down. You can always buy gold at the weekly cycle bottom. Okay, always. Simply buy the gold at the weekly cycle bottom. Potentially also wait for this 2 weekly cycle to bottom. And once these two indicators bottom, that's your entry. Okay, that's how you want to enter the market. And you forget about anything else. You forget about every single analyst in the market. You don't need them. You can simply use the cycle indicators from Strategy Master website. This chart is extremely important. This is a gold to Bitcoin ratio chart. We talked about it a week ago, and we said that Bitcoin is going to start outperforming gold. And this is what's happening. Look, I'm just going to move the price into this red circle. We can see that this chart has finally topped. It topped already at the end of December, and Bitcoin is outperforming gold. Again, go back into my channel. I talked about gold top right there. I said gold top is in 10 days, and I was telling about gold topping somewhere around 10th of January. Now, we are currently on the 18th of January, and I expect gold to top within days from now, potentially a week from now, and Bitcoin to outperform gold. And this is confirmed by this chart. Look, every single time this 2 weekly cycle indicator starts going down, Bitcoin makes a big move up. Okay, so now we want to expect something good for crypto. We want to expect Bitcoin and altcoins to outperform gold and finally make this big move up. Okay, we made some nice gains with altcoins in the last week. That is great. But now many altcoins came back to their previous prices, showing us that we are in a bearish environment. And if I enter the Sol chart, there's still some good coins that are actually making new highs and not coming back to their previous lows, like Solana. Look, Solana made a clear bottom during Christmas period. You could simply apply the cycle indicators and see, hey, this is the weekly cycle bottom. This is the 3-day cycle bottom. This is where you want to enter into Solana. Okay, I remember I was advertising Solana even the middle of December, somewhere here. Since then, we pumped up pretty well. Right now, we are slowly entering this overbought territory, but we still have a few weeks of time. Look, this weekly cycle indicator pointing 71, daily cycle falling down. Now, daily cycle broke. It has to fully reset right now, and it's currently doing. Solana sent us a first buy signal actually on this candle right now, but I believe that we still have at least a couple of days to buy Solana. This week, Solana is going to make a bottom on the 1-day cycle indicator, and it's going to continue up, okay? I cannot tell you how long it's going to go. If you want to know how much up Solana is going to go, you have to subscribe to Strategy Master. We are talking to the private community constantly about altcoins, Bitcoin, and also the potential price target using the POC levels. Ethereum, very similar thing. Ethereum is going to push higher. Look, this is a bullish looking chart for Ethereum. These were the 2 monthly demand zones. This is where we bought Ethereum below $3,000 and also slightly above $3,000. Ideally, you want this 1-day cycle to go down and go into this final phase up until the end of January. The market is not pushing with the full force, but the market will continue pushing up until the end of January. Don't be afraid to open your long positions. And remember, subscribe to the channel. Don't miss my next videos. If you're gonna miss that upcoming top, you're gonna keep on holding your altcoins throughout the full bear market. Your alt's gonna drop down by 70, 80, 90%. We want to sell anything just to have enough dry powder, enough cash to buy back in March, May, and in October once again. See you in the next one.